On a warm June evening in 2010, a woman burst into a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Station, her clothes soaked in blood. She said she had just found her best friend, a young nurse named Nell Barsock, murdered in her garage. She named the killer immediately, Linnell's boyfriend. What detectives didn't yet know was that the woman standing in front of them, Renee Austin, was not a helpless witness. She was the one who had pulled the trigger. Linnell was 31 years old, a nurse living in Palmdale, California. Friends described her as outgoing, ambitious, and always chasing a better life for herself. She shared her home with her boyfriend, Louise Bonner, and seemed to be building the future she wanted. But Linnell was always looking for connection online. Through the personal section on Craigslist, she crossed paths with a stranger who would change everything. Renee Austin had posted an ad in the Women Seeking Women section on Craigslist. Linnell answered, and the two quickly connected. What started as a friendship soon turned into a brief, romantic relationship. Detectives would later discover that Renee and Linnell had known each other only a few weeks, despite Renee calling her a best friend. Linnell still lived with her boyfriend Louise and was seeing other people, trying to figure out what she really wanted. But for Renee, this wasn't casual. Prosecutors said she developed obsessive feelings, planning a future with Linnell, and even impersonating her on dates with other women. She saw Linnell not just as a partner, but as a path to a different, better life. The relationship didn't last. Just weeks in, Linnell sent a message. She didn't want anything sexual with Renee anymore. She planned to focus on her boyfriend Louise, but hoped they could stay friends. Renee agreed, but only on the surface. Behind the scenes, prosecutors said her infatuation deepened. She watched Linnell juggle relationships, including with another man, and saw her dream slipping away. Investigators later argued that Renee was desperate, possessive, and willing to do anything rather than let Linnell walk away. On June 16, 2010, Renee went to Linnell's home to help her with her hair. According to detectives, Linnell sat in her living room while Renee stood behind her, weaving her hair. Then, everything changed. Investigators believe Renee picked up a pillow, pressed a gun through it, and shot Linnell once in the back of the head. The pillow muffled the sounds of the gunshot. Linnell's body was then dragged into the garage. Her head was covered with a black plastic bag, and a bloody rug was placed in her car, suggesting a plan to move the body and get rid of it. But detectives think Renee panicked, worried that Linnell's boyfriend might come home. Instead of trying to hide the body, she chose something else. She would frame him for the murder.
The sun was setting as a woman rushed into the Palmdale Sheriff's Station. She was frantic, her clothes covered in blood. The woman said the horror began when she'd walked barefoot into her friend's garage. It was dark inside, and she slipped on something wet.
And then I turned around. It was like plastic bags, and I slid on the bag.
She fell, and as she sat there, a terrible scene began to come into focus. There was blood everywhere.
To sell the story, Renee staged the scene. Investigators later said she wrote a handwritten note, making it look like Linnell was leaving Louise for another man, fueling a jealous boyfriend narrative. Then, she drove to the local sheriff's station, still covered in blood. There, she told officers that she had discovered her best friend dead in the garage and that Louise was the killer. She claimed the couple had argued about cheating and that Louise had chased her in his car when she fled the house. At first, her story seemed believable. Police arrested Louise Bonner in connection with Linnell's murder, but the cracks appeared fast. His alibi checked out. He hadn't been anywhere near the crime scene when Nell was killed. With their prime suspect cleared, detectives went back to the beginning and started asking questions about La Renee Austin. As investigators dug deeper, La Renee's story fell apart. She had told them she and Nell were lifelong best friends, but records showed they had only met weeks earlier through Craigslist. They also uncovered messages showing a short romantic relationship that Nell had ended. Then came the physical evidence. Crime scene analysis found La Renee's DNA and a fingerprint on items in the garage, including bloody latex gloves and a plastic container. They learned she owned the same type of gun used in the killing. Detectives concluded that the grieving best friend had staged the crime, tried to frame Louise, and then walked into the sheriff's station to control the narrative. But when it was time to arrest her, La Renee was gone. La Renee Austin fled the United States before investigators could put handcuffs on her. She headed to Belize, more than 2,000 miles away, trying to vanish into another country and another life. The case went public. It was featured on America's Most Wanted, turning La Renee into a wanted fugitive seen in homes across the country. The attention paid off. Authorities tracked her down in Belize and brought her back to face justice in California. In 2015, La Renee Austin went on trial for first-degree murder. Prosecutors argued that she had become obsessed with Nell, couldn't accept rejection, and decided to kill her and frame her boyfriend when she realized her fantasy life would never happen. The jury agreed. La Renee was found guilty of murdering Nell Barsock and of trying to frame Louise Bonner. She was sentenced to 2 terms of 25 years to life in prison. Today, La Renee spends her life behind bars, while Nell's family and friends live with a loss that can't be undone. What began as an online connection and a whirlwind romance ended in betrayal, calculated lies, and a murder staged by someone who called herself a best friend. This is the story of how obsession crossed the line into deadly violence. A reminder that not every friend is who they claim to be, and that behind some of the most dramatic cries for justice, the real killer might be the one doing the talking. This video about obsession and betrayal is in memory of Nell Barsock. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, guys, stay safe.